A pint of lager, bitte.
There you are, Adolf.
A
Gin and tonic, if you please.
1 G&T.
Pints of bitter, please.
You're Graham Taylor, aren't you?
Yes.
Push off, go on, we don't want your sword around here.
Go on, get out!
On your way.
Back in 1966, the England manager's job seemed like the easiest in the world. Sir Alf Ramsey's boys lifted the Jules Rimet trophy and the World Cup was his oyster. That triumph created a bit of a problem. Who could follow it? 12 England managers have tried and failed to emulate his success. Tomorrow, England start their 2002 campaign against Sweden when the new man Sven will meet his makers. The perfect time to take a look at the job many have called impossible. Come with us on a roller coaster ride along the occasional highs and many, many lows of being England manager.
You are the Prime Minister of football, and there's no bigger job.
The two things that everybody in the country knows what to do is how to run the country and how to run the football team.
All managers, coaches, they need a little bit luck, coming to the right place in the right moment.
If things go wrong, the world's going to come down on you, and you have to be able to take that.
It is about being able to perform at the very highest level under pressure.
The issue of the England manager's job has become such an obsession that recently even a comedy film was made about the subject.
The crowd are shouting, bastards and bastards and bastards. They shouldn't be shouting at me, it should be shouting at you. And do you know why? Because it's half time and we're 2-0 down to the Mexicans.
In the last 12 years, 5 men have tangled with Sir Alf's legacy. For 4 of them, tenure ended not in glory, but in ridicule and rancour. There was Graham, do not like that, Taylor, the manager who turned into a root vegetable before our very eyes.
Do you want me to be relaxed? I'll be relaxed. Do you want me to be uptight? I'll be uptight. That's how it is, isn't it? How do they want me to be? Tell me how you want me to be and I'll be it.
Then came Terry, El-Tal, Del Boy, little dodgy maybe, Venables, who did the business on the pitch, but whose business off it was reckoned to be a little bit too tasty.
We go in, we've got 19 minutes to do the job and get out. We drive a mile, burn the coach and scatter.
He was followed by Glenn, son of God, hand of Hoddle, the born-again messiah who put too much faith in his Eileen and was reincarnated as a sacked person.
There's a tingle, there's a heat comes through from the healer and you can feel it go through your clothes.
And then there was Kevin, I love it me, Keegan, who was not quite up to the job in either substance or height.
The truth is that, Kevin Keegan's just a little bit short for this job.
But the days of ranters, ravers and reincarnators came to an end with Kev's replacement. Step forward into the breach, Sven-Göran Eriksson, the Scandi with ice in his veins. Where once there was a turnip, now we had a Swede.
If we don't do results, of course, they will try to hang me, but even if I was an Englishman, they hang me. So that's...
And Sven secured his adopted land a World Cup place, even if it was at the very last moment against Greece. On the verge of getting his honorary knighthood from his toniness, it seemed our Sven could do no wrong. But then, the tabloids salivated when our man got involved in a bit of promotional work for Swedish Cultural Affairs. Dog Eat Doggy style with Ulrika Jonsson.
At least had an affair.
It's the greatest story ever, really. It's just fantastic. You couldn't make it up. I love it.
About my private life, I prefer to have that private.
The question which was most asked to me was, is it true? And I was like, it is true. I swear it's true. It's just they don't look like they should go together, really. And what can she see in him? I don't know. I mean, it just shows that power is a total aphrodisiac.
Our boys with the word processors knew a good story when they saw one. The only surprise was it had taken them so long to find an angle from which to attack the new man. Because that's what England managers are there for, isn't it? To be beasted in the press.
The biggest problem for the England manager is not the criticism that his team selections might have, not the criticisms that the performance of the team might have. It's when it becomes very personal.
You've got to then realise what they're saying is not important. And where it is important, I've got to deal with it. But you've got to try and separate the wheat from the chaff to make sure that you can concentrate and put all your energies and time into the most important parts of the job.
Everyone is so obsessed with the England team doing well that they expect the leader of the England team to be virtually perfect.
But if you lose, it's tough, it's a bit of despair, you're going to get criticised badly in the press, and it's not very pleasant.
And you're getting hammered. Now, you don't have to have thick skin, because I don't think people, not too many have. You've got to develop it, though. That is what the job's about.
Some great men have suffered, you know, very badly, in my opinion, at the hands of the press. So I certainly think you've got to have broad shoulders and you've got to be prepared to take that.
I don't think the English media is particularly looking to find faults with England coaches and undermine them and bring them down. I think they can do that quite well themselves.
I would never actually turn around and say about good luck, bad luck and all that, but I don't think we've had quite our fair share.
Graham Taylor was the John Major of football, a man who appeared to be promoted way beyond his level of competence. It had all looked so positive for him after Bobby Robson had taken England so far at Italia 90 and he was due to inherit the crown jewels.
Well, in the event that I do take over Elton, I would want them to win, because I would like to think that I can't get the sack then for not qualifying.
An average English footballer, Taylor went on to be an average English Football League manager. First at Lincoln, where his words of wisdom drove his players onto dizzy heights.
We don't want to see any ball hitting any of the opposition.
More sophisticated, I hate that word being used where football's concerned.
And then at Watford, where he developed his tactical master plan by studying empty pitches. His penchant for oversized spectacles was something he inherited from Big Specs himself, his rock and roll chairman Elton John. And from an early age, he had international ambitions.
Où est le bureau?
Où est le bureau? Où est le bureau? Où est le bureau? I tell you what, Angela, I don't know where the bureau is.
And why should a track record of winning precisely nothing stop him applying for football's top job? Because, hey, the Blazers of the FA know what they're doing, don't they? And for them, he seemed the ideal man to lead out the national team.
If any success comes my way, I'm quite happy to take the credit. If it doesn't come my way, I have to take the flak.
Taylor lost only one of his first 23 matches in charge, but the roll mop hit the fan when England went to the European Championships in Stockholm. Despite taking the lead, Taylor's men were given a good bashing by the Swedes. And the name of the man who scored for the host nation? Yes, Eriksson. Taylor won himself few friends when, as defeat loomed, he substituted the only Englishman who could make a difference, Gary Lineker, the darling of the press, the queen mother of football.
I will now, in front of everyone, mess up the career and the finale of the career of the most popular player the country has had for the past 20 years. Yes, that sounds like a good idea, I'll do that.
And Alan Smith comes on.
Everything was broken then. It was like that was the last final act of surrender. You know, let's take off the one guy who could actually save us. Yeah, well, we might as well, because this is all over.
Now, he's not an idiot, Graham Taylor. I've got a great deal of sympathy for him. He's just a man out of his depth, that's all. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong job.
Taylor never recovered from that setback. His end accelerated by the Sun's now legendary analysis of defeat.
I started thinking about Swedes, you know, and I was going, Swedes, carrots, cabbage, parsnips, turnip. And I thought, turnip, Swedes 2, turnips 1. I thought, oh, you know, that'd be a good headline.
When Graham Taylor came on as the turnip on the back page, I was happy with it. Yeah, and parsnip as well, chuck that on while you're at it.
I thought it was outrageous, and I thought it was obscene. I thought it was vitriolic, and I thought it was a terrible campaign. And I just saw no sense, rhyme or reason or intelligence or constructiveness in it.
No regrets about it. I mean, you know, it's good newspaper stuff, isn't it?
It hurts initially. You can cope with it. You know, you understand that. It's the effect it has on what I would call the lowest common denominator. What that person who sees you being depicted as a turnip, if he comes across to you, he feels that he can treat you like
So what did Graham Taylor do after being mangled by the media in Sweden? He invited a documentary film crew to follow his glorious leadership of England to the 1994 World Cup finals. This film included the most enduring and revealing images of Taylor struggling with the demands of his job.
And so he tried, in his own way, to be very media-friendly. and for his trouble, he was right royally shafted by all branches of the media.
I wouldn't accept that. I wouldn't let a camera crew come into the dressing room when we're in there with the lads, because I think that's private. But that goes to show or highlight that the man wasn't under pressure. He didn't worry about what was being said about him or the way he came across to people.
I believe
Taylor's questionable decision to unbolt the dressing room door gave the world access to a rarely seen and some would say inner sanctum.
I don't believe we are looking for the win, but we're certainly not looking to be beaten. What we mustn't do against Norway is lose to them.
So of course in hindsight, which is a wonderful thing, we'd all make different decisions. We'd all make different decisions, you know, all the mistakes that we made we wouldn't have done. But I don't think on the outset to have wanted that documentary would have been a stupid thing, no.
It wasn't the cameras in the dressing room, but the cameras on the touchline that did Taylor's reputation the most damage.
King Paul, come on! Let's demand it! Tell him, Les! Well, you tell him! The crap can't see you! Sharpie! Sharpie!
Taylor ranted, raged and rumbled as passionately inarticulate as any fan. He couldn't win a footy game, but at least Graham's freak-out on film gave the nation a new catchphrase.
Graham Taylor's catchphrase was,
"Do I not like that?
Do I not like that?" Even my Jamaican mum was saying, "Do I not like that? Do I not like that?" She was going around the house saying that. It was fabulous.
I don't know if it's a question. Do I not like that? No, I don't like that. If he needs to ask himself everything all the time. Shall I have a cheese sandwich? No, I won't have a cheese sandwich.
After the humiliation in Stockholm, England faced a crucial World Cup qualifier against Holland. The documentary revealed the pressures of his impossible job were beginning to show away from the football field when Graham blew a gasket at this sports journo.
I was shaking my head like that, and he spotted me and just went into one.
Listen, Rob, I cannot have faces like yours round about me. Now, I'll continue. No, I can't, Rob, I'll tell you this now. If you was one of my players with a face like that, I'd kick you out, you would never have a chance, son. Get yourself up, man. Put a smile on your face. Come on, a bit more of a smile, Rob. Be a bit more. Hey? Wow. Hey? The whole nation rests on whether Rob Shepherd is happy or not.
I hope I'm smiling tomorrow, I really do.
Well, good.
I really do,
Really
I tell you,
do,
but I
yeah.
just worry.
Well, listen, worry. You worry, Rob. You worry. But don't make the rest of us worry, Rob. Go and worry on your own.
But even as he crumbled under the pressure, there was still hope. Victory against the Dutch would cheer up even his grumpiest critics. For a moment, it seemed the impossible might happen. What followed documented Taylor's ultimate humiliation as England boss, when he lost all remaining dignity during a pitchside emotional meltdown.
Is he going to send him off? He's got to send him off. What are they being instructed?
You saw his reactions to that decision, but I think anyone would have reacted in the same way, anyone who was passionate. I mean, some people, maybe there's one or two managers that can sit there and not show that emotion, but what it's doing to him inside must be even more harmful.
But despite the manager's vigorous protest, Dutch defender Ronald Koeman was not sent off for his deliberate foul and was still on the pitch to deliver Taylor's P45.
He's going to flip one, and it's in!
There's a fine dividing line between success and failure, and it really rests on little incidents. And I feel sorry for Graham Taylor because, you know, that incident really cost England's place, in my opinion, a place in the World Cup. And that was a defining moment, I believe, in Graham Taylor's career.
I'll just saying to your colleague, referee's got me the sack. Thank him ever so much for that, won't you?
Taylor did the decent thing and quit, but he could never quite escape Dutchman, nor that catchphrase.
Yes, we could do that. Fine. What colour would you like the tracksuit? Orange?
Do I not like orange?
Pardon?
It's just a joke, love. Blue, I think.
If any man had a head big enough to fill the lion's mouth, it was Terry Venables.
There's a new boss in town now, and it's me.
We are your boss,
yeah, boys.
Al Tal, what a character. He is the ultimate dodgy car salesman, isn't he?
Crooner, likely lad, gadabout from the earliest of days, Tal was a man with an eye for the main chance.
What would you be doing if you weren't going to be playing football?
Oh, I have no idea. That's all I can do.
But football alone could never absorb all his energies. He liked to dabble in business, take his thingamywig, a hat cum syrup. Not many did. But Tell was undaunted. As a coach, he was going places. First to Crystal Palace, where he found time to write the TV series Hazel.
But we've got to see him down again, and I think there's no reason why we can't start off with that.
Then to QPR, where he launched the first plastic pitch. Then to Spain, where he took his bouncing balls to Barcelona to absorb the local culture. Tell always liked a club, and on his return to England tried to buy one. But at Spurs, tea and sugar didn't mix, and they ended up in court over alleged financial irregularities. Tell lost his case and his job. Then England came calling, and he had something to sing about once again.
And I got you under my skin, and I like you under my skin.
He is the most astute, he is the best tactically, and critically, most importantly of all, he's fantastic with the players. And so I wasn't at all surprised. Why wouldn't England try and give it to the best England football coach?
Well, it was a sort of weight of the people was wanting me to do the job, and I didn't feel that I would get it, but I did. You know, it was just a matter of having an interview and just agreeing to what everybody was saying. And there was things that they said I would have problems with. Here's some problems with court cases, and I said I wouldn't.
I mean, he come from a working class background in Dagenham, and he was what he is the way he is, but doesn't make him any less knowledgeable in the game.
An astute observer of the game on the pitch, he spoke the players' language off it.
I want to be in the team, boss. Yeah, so do I, Mr. Venables. Can I be the captain, boss? No, I want to be captain.
I'm leaving out, lads. I haven't made my mind up yet.
Great bloke, great coach, he really was. Got on very well with his players.
You know, he had a lot of respect from the players because he was sort of very down to earth and treated men as men.
Terry's a completely different character. He's much closer to the players than any previous England manager. He's much calmer. He has lots of other interests, as we know, so Terry isn't completely engrossed in football.
Tell liked his lads to large it. Though on a pre-tournament trip to Hong Kong, some of them took his instructions lying down, ending up in the dentist chair.
We had a situation where they had not been out for a while. I believe every now and again you've got to let your hair down. And they had a clearance. There was a private sort of party arranged for them. I think a member of the public took some photographs, and that's how it all got blown out. Obviously, if you had the time over again, you would try to make sure that that didn't happen. But I did give them permission. They didn't break the curfew. And I used that, and we all used that in our benefit. To say, well, we want the press and everyone behind us. But if you're not behind us, fine, we'll do it on our own.
The headlines were awful, and some of the behaviour was ridiculous. I mean, going into the jump club was a daft thing to do, because it was always going to be full of punters, you know. So any player having a drink is going to have his picture taken.
But you knew the press wasn't the public anyway, and the public actually were excited about that team. They were excited about the possibility of us playing good football in our own country.
And good football in their own country was what they produced. None more so than the well-publicised occupant of the dentist chair, Paul Gascoigne, who celebrated the goal of the tournament by mocking media criticism of his refuelling habits. In the semi-final, Venables boys were within a fingertip of at last matching Alf Ramsey's achievement. But as Gary Lineker once said, football is a simple game. You play for 90 minutes and then the Germans win.
Oh, well, we won the war still, and no one can take that away from us.
So near to success, with a team full of huge potential, Venables headed for the exit.
I mean, people say now I left because of court cases. Their memory's playing tricks. It was to do with me saying I would leave because of disagreements with one or two people.
Those issues never went away. I mean, the Department of Trade and Industry, as we know, made their conclusions, and they were pretty damning.
Every press conference with Terry Venables, there would be questions by news reporters over his financial dealings, and that drip of criticism or suspicion is harmful to an organisation like the FA, which is paranoid about its image and being seen to be whiter than white, and the Blazers got in a huff.
A number of issues that have come out over that period of time
have been greater than we might have expected at the time.
The idea of seeing the England manager, no matter how nattily dressed, in blazer and slacks, tripping in and out merrily of the high courts of England on a weekly or monthly basis became a very difficult thing, and I think they lost their bottle with him.
It's my job to set the standard. If I'm going to be looking edgy and sweaty about problems which are not the biggest problems in the world, it's only someone's opinion.
A 5-year Premier League inquiry produced 42,000 pages of evidence.
There is a section where you're going to be hit with this stuff, and you just got to treat it and bat it away if you can to concentrate on your job. That's what you're there for.
You know, football fans are interested in team sheets, not balance sheets. They're not interested in what Terry Venables did in his bank account and how he achieved that in his bank account. What they're interested in is, can he put out a good team or can't he? And of course he can.
Spot on. Cockney. Off now. Off when the job's done.
I think people felt he was maybe ducking and diving too much outside football, but that was their opinion. But I think when it came to the football, there was no one better, in my opinion.
He would be my choice as England coach even now. But Terry Venables cannot be dealt with in isolation. He is more than one Terry Venables. He has a butterfly mind flitting between his business enterprises and being an England coach, or being a coach per se.
Whilst his many enemies would like to have seen him as a convict, that's not the reason he disappeared to Australia. He went to manage their national team. Left to dream of what might have been. After Venables, the FA wanted somebody cleaner than clean and went for the hand of Hodd. Glenn Hoddle was the best player of his generation, a man of extravagant skill, worshipped by Spurs fans from the moment they saw him. And this despite hair apparently fashioned in a poodle parlour. He was dubbed the Messiah, a nickname given fresh meaning when, while on England duty in Israel, he found God. As they said at the time, even for Glenn, that was a heck of a pass.
I attempted to read the Bible, but I couldn't make head or tail out of the Bible. It just went over my head.
After Spurs, he was exiled to the wilderness in France, where he found comfort in the local places of worship. Aged just 38, he was offered the job he thought was his destiny. He became the youngest ever English manager. The man seemed touched by a guiding light. Just one thing, did he have to sing about it? After Tell and his alleged dodgy dealings, surely a born-again Christian would provide the FA with a clean set of fingers. Though Glenn thought he'd better check they were all still there after being given the best wishes of his predecessor.
Glenn Hoddle came in, someone who the FA felt was whiter than white.
At last we'd found a saviour. That's what we thought.
He knew what he was talking about. I think everybody who had come into contact with him and worked with him felt he was an outstanding young coach.
I thought it was refreshing that he would be England manager because he was a nice young age, and I know about the ideas that he's got.
When you had a good manager like Glenn Hoddle at that particular age, the benefit of that was that he could be the England manager for the next 20 years.
Hoddle was aware of what had happened to his predecessors and was determined he wasn't going to be vegetabilised.
Terry and the boys, to be fair to them, have worked extremely hard to put that right. They've had the 2 years to prepare.
In fact, he was more of a fruit man.
All that good work has come to fruition in the Championship.
For a player of such continental skill, Hoddle preferred his teams to reflect more British virtues of blood, sweat and tears. His finest hour was a backs-to-the-wall performance in Rome. The 0-0 bore draw which secured England's qualification for the 1998 World Cup finals was larceny on such a grand scale it became known as the Italian job.
The whole campaign, I think, has been a triumph for Glenn Hoddle. Mr. Glenn Hoddle.
Hoddle was now seeking audiences with fellow believer Tony Blair. What his new best friend didn't realise about Glenn was the other company he kept. A player whose feet were apparently blessed had put the country's hopes in a pair of hands. They belonged to a pub landlady turned faith healer, Eileen Drury. She'd treated Hoddle for injury as a player and now put her mystic mitts at the disposal of his England team.
I can't explain it. I mean, I know it works because I've known her and seen what has happened for not only footballers but normal people, if you like, showbiz people, people in my own family that I've sent to him.
I sat and I concentrated on the part of his leg that was injured.
And I looked at her as if, like, you know, what's that?
In fact, if I remember correctly, I even put my hand on the area.
I was digging my fingers in so deep.
I used to say, don't tell anyone that you've come to me.
This is weird.
And that's how it's always been.
Glenn Hoddle and Eileen Drury, or Eileen Brewery, as some of us called her, as we're sitting in the pub. Interesting lady. Had she not known Glenn Hoddle, then you'd have probably found her at the end of Brighton Pier, looking at tea leaves to tell you your future.
Many people have problems through negative vibrations clinging to the aura. So I touch their head with the Lord's Prayer, and this then takes all vibrations, negative vibrations, off of the aura. If you can sort of visualise all little ants crawling all over the aura.
You know, what the hell was she doing involved in an England team set up?
I thought it was fair enough. You know, I thought, well, if you've got some spooky lady who can come round and, you know, lay hands on you. I've certainly had that happen to me on a few occasions.
Glenn was quite touchy on the subject of Eileen Drury, to be honest with you, and anybody who sort of spoke against her, Glenn would isolate them.
You know, being the England coach is a bit like being a mum. Loads of difficult decisions to make. And do you ever get a thank you?
Instead of thanks, Hoddle generated criticism.
Tactically, very, very good. He needs to work quite a bit on his man management skills.
One man who needed delicate handling was Paul Gascoigne. When Hoddle told him he was not in his final World Cup party in '98, the hero of Euro '96 wrecked his hotel room in a volcanic rage. The nation wasn't too happy, but Hoddle had his reasons.
Paul Gascoigne, let's face it, could he be trusted? On the evidence that Glenn Hoddle could see at the manga, with cans of lagers in his golf bag, is carrying on karaoke the night before he selected the squad. This was a guy that could not be trusted.
The press was surprised when Glenn told us all about Gazza's humiliation.
He was choked. He was emotionally choked. There was, you know, his eyes welled up, and he wasn't in a state of mind really to take anything in.
Though his #1 fan, Tony, still backed him to the hilt.
Fortunately, there are some decisions I have to take. There are other decisions for Glenn Hoddle, and he's the right man to take them.
But relations with some players within the England camp were deteriorating.
Glenn would get frustrated because the players that he was trying to coach couldn't do the things that he could do. And I think that sort of bred a kind of arrogance into Glenn, which isn't particularly good for the job that he's in.
When England arrived in France, he dropped his most prodigious talent, David Beckham.
He's not yet to get on the score sheet, which has been a bit disappointing. And I just felt his focus hasn't been there over the, you know, just the games leading into the World Cup.
He then made the clearly distraught Beckham face the waiting press pack.
I'm the sort of person that always wants to play in every game, and if I'm not, then, you know, no one can really do anything about it.
By the time he played in the match against Argentina, David Beckham was stung by the manager's criticisms and blew a gasket as opposed to a metatarsal, just as the team was beginning to take hold of the game.
Wait a minute, he's taking another card out for Beckham. It's a red card for David Beckham.
It was red cards all round for Beckham and Hoddle and England.
If we were knocked out of '98 and Beckham was sent off for any reason, it was because Hoddle hadn't picked him in the first couple of games and he was wound up.
Unlike his player, Hoddle returned to a sympathetic welcome.
The truth is we had a mountain of courage and a molehill of luck, unfortunately. And of course there were certain things that shouldn't have happened.
But the honeymoon with the press came to a rapid end when he published his World Cup diary, which many critics thought too intimate by far.
I don't think there's anything in there that is going to be a problem to the players. There really isn't. And you know, as I say, it was a book of experiences, of my thoughts.
The revealing of intimate details from the changing room in his World Cup diary. You know, that's not the sort of thing that you can do as a manager. What goes on in those four walls in the change room needs to stay there, and you know, I thought that was out of order.
Worse was to come. In a Times interview, his foot was so firmly in his mouth he could barely utter a coherent word.
I asked him about it. He then sort of not only confirmed it, but then built on it with that terrible phrase about, yeah, you and me have been given 2 arms, 2 legs and half-decent brains, and others haven't. And he implied that that was their fault for something in a previous life, which I certainly found bizarre, and clearly a lot of other people found offensive.
Hoddle needed all the friends he could get, but his biggest supporter deserted him very publicly. When Tony turns against you on Richard and Judy, you know you're in trouble.
Can we ask you what you think about Mr. Hoddle, Glenn Hoddle?
I think if he's really said it in the way he's reported to have said it, it's very offensive and
So
I
he
think
should
it's
go?
difficult for him to stay in those circumstances, yes.
Hoddle had become a political football.
William Hague.
Will he accept for future reference and on reflection that there is a limit to the number of things politicians should poke their noses into, and that lecturing football associations on who they should sack is beyond that limit?
I really cannot believe that he is raising this.
Tony Blair's remarks enabled the FA to go down the route that they'd already decided upon.
Further lunacy followed when, at the press conference to announce his resignation, a disabled protester tried to attack the new ex-manager, apparently impatient to see just how Glenn himself would be reincarnated.
My contract with the FA has been terminated by mutual consent. I accept that I made a serious error of judgment in an interview which caused misunderstanding and pain to a number of people. Thank you very much.
But Hoddle wasn't bitter.
If there was a vendetta, they get what they were after. Now, I can deal with that. I don't feel any bitterness towards anyone, because at the end of the day, he'll get his just rewards.
He was strong enough to stick by his beliefs, but in the end, I'm sure, if we're honest, that's probably what cost him his job. It wasn't through his any lack of ability, because he certainly didn't lack any ability on the football side and knowledge of the game. I think he was top class.
So is the karma working from a previous life if you come back? I mean, who would have you been in a previous life to come back as Glenn Hoddle then?
So another manager fell off his perch. Was there anyone out there brave enough to take on the job of building England's dreams across the next junction?
Come here. That's no way to cross the road, is it? Nothing coming. Sure? And straight across, mind. And keep your eyes open. Take it from me. Be smart. Be safe.
After Hoddle's disability debacle, the FA thought it could win friends by going for the most popular man in football.
He came in as an antidote, an antithesis to Hoddle, who was very sort of cold with the media, whereas Kevin, everyone instinctively warmed to. He's a very emotional character, very patriotic, who wears his heart on his sleeve.
Kevin Keegan was England's first football superstar. Not that you'd have known it when he first stepped out for Scunthorpe in the days when players still wore tank tops to train in. Even then, he seemed a man unsure if he could cope with pressure.
Did you find it a bit tough? Yeah, at first very tough. Couldn't do much right, to be honest.
Snapped up by Bill Shankly's Liverpool, he became the darling of the Kop and pioneered a hairstyle that became a Merseyside staple. Have perm, will travel, and Keegan took the biggest Barnet in sport with him to Hamburg. Here he became England's first footballing millionaire, despite never actually having to kick a ball.
Ich gehe zurück auf meine Insel da und spiele nächstes Jahr für Southampton. Das war meine Entscheidung.
Keen to continue winning Nout, he headed to Newcastle, where the locals fell in love.
We're in heaven, we've got Kevin.
He missed out on World Cup glory in 1982 due to injury, groin we assume, before making an emotional departure from the Geordie nation.
Thank you very much for the last 2 years.
Rich enough not to need public transport, he spent the next 7 years away from the pressures of the game playing golf in Spain. Finally bored by a life of leisure, he returned to manage his beloved Newcastle.
There's no job in football I've ever wanted. This is the only job I've ever wanted.
Before the pressure obviously got to him once more. He was famously an emotional guy, and this was best demonstrated when he ranted under pressure on Sky TV.
We're still fighting for this title, and he's got to go to Middlesbrough and get something. And I'll tell you, honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
He clearly needed a break, and he was soon back in Spain working on his handicap. Soon the flibberty-gibbet flew back, this time in the capital, fronting the team from the local grocers. Despite swearing eternal love, his affair in the cottage was a short one. There was one suitor he could never resist.
This is the biggest job. The size of it is, I think, pretty obvious to everyone. I'm not a fool. I have the chance to prove a lot of people wrong.
That anyone could love you more than
I'll give it 1,000%. Anyone who knows me knows that.
I got news for you.
And there's a lot of passion there.
All the things you do.
We expect the world, and then when we only get the moon, you know, we're disappointed. I want to be a winner, because I don't want to be a loser.
And it looks like I'm falling all over again.
He was the people's choice. He was the choice of the press. He was the choice of the FA. And he had a, second to none reputation.
Mr. Keegan was, he's a very bubbly, outgoing man, and in certain environments that's very good.
My first squad was with Keegan, and I thought he was great myself,
With the great enthusiast at the helm, what could go wrong? Modelled in the manager's image, England would play with passion, patriotism and pride.
Oh, it's goals! It is a hat-trick for Portugal!
Accentuating the positive, Keegan's boys demolished Poland in his first game. But as with all things Kev, it was an illusion. England just scraped into Euro 2000, losing the home leg of their playoff with Scotland along the way. England's chances were becoming as grey as the manager's hair.
At half-time, all the Scottish players who were in the squad but not involved in the team were sat just in front of the press box, and one of them turned around as we all trooped off to have a cup of Bovril and said, "You lot are all cacking yourselves." And it was true, we were awful that night. And maybe to an extent that should have warned us that Kevin didn't quite have it as an elite coach.
England were home from the Euro 2000 finals before the postcards.
It's Romania.
With doubts about his tactical competence and emotional stability ringing in the manager's ears.
I just don't think he was sharp enough tactically to organise a team at international level.
I just think he found the job maybe difficult.
I think within 18 months, like every other England manager, you'll be on the back page of The Sun as a vegetable.
Yeah, they asked me what vegetable I'd like to be,
In the pouring rain at Wembley, Keegan met his nadir. Germany were the last visitors to the national stadium before it was demolished. It was a World Cup qualifier. Emotions couldn't get any higher, nor could the manager's voice.
Number 10, Haaland fancies his luck. And his luck is in. And Germany have taken a sensational lead at Wembley.
Any manager is going to come under a certain amount of criticism if things don't go right. And the defeat against Germany obviously was the straw that broke the camel's back.
We never expected to lose. That's the big thing. We expected to beat Germany.
I think then when results started going against him, that heart on the sleeve side came out.
The trouble with Kevin is, when things go wrong, he'll throw his dummy out of the pram.
He's going to have some difficult questions to answer. He knows the scoreline remains the same.
But I've just seen the way he looked into the crowd and knew that something was going through his mind and nearly know what he's thinking, really.
This wasn't the way it was supposed to finish.
Once the fans turned on him for England, well, there was no going back then, no matter what anyone said.
The truth is that, Kevin Keegan's just a little bit short for this job. And the one person who really knows that is Kevin Keegan. I don't care what anybody else thinks.
We loved him for being emotional, but then he sort of tipped over the balance, and the way he quit after the Germany game was just disgraceful.
Maybe that was a question of his passion, that he made a decision on the spur of the moment, discussed it with the FA in the toilets, in the dressing rooms, and decided to flush his career down the loo.
Yeah, I think he had a bit of inner turmoil.
That's life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
From sunshine to a soaking in less than a year, bravely Keegan accepted his own inadequacy. He took the long walk out of the job knowing his doubters had been proven right. He had failed to deliver. His tactical knowledge had been questioned.
It's a ball.
The turnip tailor, the wide boy Venables, the god botherer Hoddle, and the perm king Keegan. All had tried and all had been found wanting. Where was the FA to turn next?
Still, after talking to a succession of turnips, makes a change talking to you, because you're a Swede, of course.
I expect any moment now you will say that because I'm Swedish, I spend a lot of time watching videos and watching people in different positions.
No, I wasn't...
Actually, I do.
Sven-Göran Eriksson had everything that was required for the job. He was sophisticated, smooth, and had a tandoori-coloured permatan. He was also very clever. Well, he wore glasses.
Sven brought to the table something very simple. We don't have intellectuals in this country. We do not tolerate them. But we understand that some foreign specky people are very brainy indeed.
You can't say no when you've been offered the manager of England.
Unlike some of his predecessors, Sven was not much of a player. But as a coach, he gave a hint of what was to come when, after taking backwards team Gothenburg to European glory, he caught the eye of Sweden's female population.
3-0 Hamburg borta I en final, det låter lite imponerande.
Such was his success, they unveiled a statue in his memory. It was apparently made of chocolate, so at least it would have some use if he ever left. But Sven was a dreamer. Give him a field of daisies and he would sit and meditate on a move to Italy and a fashion makeover. It all came true at once when, with a new tailor, a new optician and a new hair colour, the man was undoubtedly qualified for the job. Just one thing, he wasn't English.
The modern type of footballer doesn't really need someone banging the table and yelling at him. What he needs is to be educated in international football. They need guidance. And I think Sven-Göran Eriksson, in particular, is that modern type of coach, vastly experienced, vastly knowledgeable, and I think he has all the credentials of the ideal England coach.
Sven-Göran Eriksson. He's a lovely geezer, but don't forget that he's from Sweden.
There were many who raised their hackles at the fact he was a foreigner.
You would expect that we could get something from our own country, or we're doing something wrong in bringing our coaches through.
England should be managed by an English man.
I'm amazed that we have to have a foreign coach. Now, when I say that, I know Sven, I know him a long way. He's a good bloke and he knows his business, and I wish him all the luck in the world, I do. But I can't help feeling a bit like that.
The feeling initially for myself was one of concern, simply because England have always had English managers. But I think straight away it was obvious that the guy's good.
But who cares where the manager comes from if he can get one over the old enemy Germany by masterminding the mauling in Munich?
Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Gerrard from range, powers the shot. What a goal, Steven Gerrard! Oh, it was brilliant! Birthday, Christmas, New Year's Eve, all rolled into one. England are 3-1 up.
Little Michael Owen, he put 3 past Ollie Kahn.
And Ollie must have cried his eyes out.
Down the Autobahn.
The future of England football. Germany 1, England 5.
What a night, what a result.
That's 5 right here, 4th, that's 5 in German.
The goal there to win 5-1 really made him a god, if you like.
Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Sven-Göran Eriksson has breathed new life into England. What a turnaround in 12 months.
While his boys couldn't stop scoring on the pitch, he couldn't stop scoring off it.
I don't know if I have a favourite. There are so many, and let me... No, I like them all.
Odd, though, for a man so skilled at picking the team that he had such trouble deciding his own partner. This was a new departure for the press. A winning England manager. What were they to do? Oh, never mind. They did what they've always done. They made his life a misery.
Meanwhile, in Berkshire, the TV presenter Ulrika Jonsson was also at home behind closed doors.
Welcome to the club, Sven.
Would it be possible to speak to Miss Johnson at all about Sven's comments at the press conference? Nothing to say, thank you.
He knows that there is a tabloid press in Britain. I don't think he quite understood what they're like when they're in full flight. I don't say it anyway disparagingly, because I think if you're the England manager and you're sleeping with as famous person as Ulrika Jonsson, it is a matter of public interest. Of all the ones guaranteed to get the two of them into the papers, she was the one. Her bedroom appears to be wired up to the national grid in some way.
It's not pleasant to be followed 24 hours a day. Not by one person, but about 20. but I can't do anything about it. So.
Eriksson arrived with no preconceived baggage, but he's certainly acquired some. He's almost got a suitcase full of them at the moment.
The idea that women will fancy Sven now because he's been Eureka is quite ridiculous, especially since the revelation that he does wear stack shoes to make himself look taller. Eureka's nanny, who sold her story about Sven and Eureka, used to see them outside the bedroom. It was kind of like a sign that they were in there together and she shouldn't come in.
Have the press found his Achilles heel, or at least another active part of his anatomy? Will the Swede become another back-page vegetable?
As you see, I'm sitting here, and you see I am dressed, so my intentions are to go on like this.
What Sven has to do is keep the team playing well, and then he can have sex with everybody in Britain, and there'll be no problem. I'm looking forward to my go.
Will the goals protect him? Tomorrow we will find out.
60,000 hearts are jumping.
When the World Cup starts is when we'll see not how good he is, but how much support he will get from the press and from the nation, and how much belief we actually do have in him.
He has to realise now what the British press is. He's got to focus on his job, put that aside, give every consideration and every blinking moment and every thinking moment to the job, and let's hope he does a great job in Japan and Korea.
Everybody loves you, baby.
If I could choose anybody to be the manager, I'd pick Homer Simpson. I think it's gonna be a fiasco and a tragedy anyway.
If I could choose anyone from any walk of life, I'd choose my mum, because then she'd pick me definitely for every game.
Ultimately, Rupert Murdoch, because he runs football anyway.
Nelson Mandela.
Jimmy Neal? I would go for Margaret Thatcher, because at least we'd beat the Argentinians.
I think Harry Enfield. Simply because he's got a face for every occasion, isn't he?
Keith Harris.
With Oval? I don't think you'd have to look too much further than Sven-Göran Eriksson.
Oh, for me, I think it would have been Frank Sinatra. I mean, I don't know what the football would have been like, but I should think we'll have some great fun listening to him sing.
Everybody loves you, baby.